I previously made a video interviewing Koreans and giving them a Korean language test. I will link that video in the description. One of the questions that I gave them was 좀 이따가 만나요? Or 좀 이따가 만나요. Notice they have the exact same pronunciation. And I asked them which one is the correct answer. Many Koreans said it was this one, 이따가. The reason being that they're probably familiar with the regular verb 있다, meaning to exist. In the video, these people got it wrong, but the actual answer isn't that simple, and I may have given them a question that was a bit confusing. In some cases, 이따가 would actually be the more correct answer. The first one, 이따가, actually means a little bit later, or after a little bit of time has passed. 이따가, however, comes from a combination originally of 있다, to exist, and the 다가 ending. But in this way, it's used to show after 있다, after existing somewhere. So maybe you stay at your house, and then 이따가, after staying, something else happens. And this is used to mean after staying somewhere. Actually, 이따가 as well comes from this same exact form. So they are originally the exact same thing, but in the 1700s, 이따가, this one, developed its own different usage and the spelling changed as a result of that. Okay, let me just show you a quick example. You've got 집에 있다가 학교로 왔다. So I stayed at home, and then I came to school. Most of the time, however, when Koreans say 이따가, what they mean is not this version, not staying at a place, but what they actually mean is this 이따가 here. 이따가 만나요. We'll meet a little bit later. So in my question, 좀 이따가 만나요, if a Korean had said this to another person, what they would mean is after a while, a little bit later. So if the question that I gave them was 좀 이따가 만나요, well then the answer should be obviously 이따가, right? I mean, let's meet after a little bit. The problem happens with this word that I also added in the question. 좀. 좀 comes from 조금, meaning a little bit. So what you get here is a bit of a repetitive sounding sentence. 좀, little bit already, so little bit, after a little bit, after a little bit, we'll meet. Now this repetitiveness is what actually makes the phrase 좀 이따가 grammatically wrong. And you can verify this by going into 국립국어원, which is like the authority on Korean questions. And they also mentioned that 좀 이따가 would be grammatically incorrect because of how repetitive it is, you know, saying a little twice with 좀 and 이따가. But Koreans themselves will also say 좀 이따가 and not even think about the meaning being repetitive. So saying 좀 이따가 to Korean just sounds more like saying a little later, a little with more emphasis on it being a little bit later. So what is correct if everyone is using it to mean a certain way? If Koreans say 좀 이따가 and they mean 좀 이따가 after a little bit, then is it really incorrect? Well, grammatically, yes, it's still incorrect. However, usage-wise, no. According to my sentence that I asked Koreans in that Korean test, 좀 이따가 만나요, the meaning of this sentence would be meet a little bit later. They would not think of this as meaning meet after staying a while. So although, yes, it's grammatically incorrect to say 좀 이따가, and it's actually repetitive to say 좀 이따가, that is still the more correct sounding answer for my question. So I think if I were to go back and redo that video, I would change this question to simply remove 좀. So you can think about it like this. Adding 좀 to 이따가 simply emphasizes the meaning of a little bit. So instead of saying a little bit later, you're saying a little bit later, just a little bit, just a bit later. But if I had instead said something like 좀 이따가 나가요, you know, we'll leave from here, then in that case, 이따가 would be a better answer. Well, it would work perfectly because you would be saying, after we stay here for a bit, let's leave. So 좀 really caused the confusion here, and I should have changed that in the question so it was less confusing, but I still think that in the context of that question, and because I used 만나요, the more correct answer still is 이따가, just because that's what Koreans would mean when they say 좀 이따가 만나요. Let's meet a little bit later. So, did you already know this difference between 이따가 or 있다가, or do you have any other methods for telling the difference? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again later. 그럼 다음에 또 봐!